Casio MRW-200H is very popular. It is very affordable, but with one colorway of MRW-200H fighting with the other for prime attention of Casio fans. But apparently, there is one variant of 200H that is highly sought after. Everyone is after it. But here is something else. There is a watch that looks like this MRW-200H from Casio, but it is from Q&Q, a sub-brand of Citizen, and it is only half the price, albeit with reduced features. In this video, I will be unboxing both and comparing the two, setting them side by side to see which one is more appealing and which one is value for money. Let's unbox. Namaste everybody and welcome back to TikTok Treasures. In one corner we have the modern day fan favorite, the Casio MRW-200H with that ever desired red triangle on the bezel at the 12th, and in the opposite corner we have Q&Q's VR18 that looks like the MRW-200H with a red triangle. At the end of the video you will realize this Q&Q watch is not quite like the 200H. When you place them side by side they look similar, but there are major differences and we will cover them section by section. First up is the build. They both have resin build, resin case with matte black finish. The glass is resin too, so for both, be prepared for subtle scratches on the glass that don't show easily but can be buffed off with minimal effort. The dimensions for both Casio and Q&Q are similar. They both fall under the 44mm case diameter mark. They almost have the same lug to lug and have similar thickness. The lug width, however, is different, with Casio MRW-200 having 18mm lug width and the Q&Q having 16mm lug width. The Casio MRW-200H has a bidirectionally rotating bezel, which people expect even if they have no use for it. Maybe they just want to use it as a fidgeting device. Too bad you don't get this with a Q&Q. But if you want a Q&Q with rotating bezel, check this one out. I will link it in the description. The bezel markings are similar as they are inspired by the diver watches. Also, the triangle at the 12 on the Q&Q could eventually come off as it's just painted on, whereas on the Casio MRW-200, the triangle is debossed and filled with red paint and an embossed dot. If you compare this MRW-200 with the other variants, this stands out due to this vibrant triangle. The crowns on both Q&Q and Casio are protected with crown guards. When it comes to the case pack, the Q&Q has that yacht which they use on most of their watches that have 10 bar water resistance, which is cool, but the Casio MRW-200 has their trademark "let's give out all the information" case pack that also includes the module number. The dial on both this Casio MRW-200H and this Q&Q watch are inspired by field watches with large 12-hour markers on the main track and smaller 24-hour markers on the inner track. It is kept simple on the Q&Q with the minute markers on the periphery of the dial, whereas on the Casio MRW-200, like with all the MRW-200H, is set on a separate chapter ring, adding more depth to the dial. The Casio MRW-200 is more practical with solid hands and is easier to tell time at a glance, while the hands are skeletal on the Q&Q and it kind of disappears on the dial when there is no light shining on it. The trick is to track the lume tips on the Q&Q. I like the red seconds hand of the Q&Q. It stands out in contrast with the black of the dial. I wish Casio did the same for the seconds hand. Go red to match the triangle. I can't tell which I like more when it comes to the orientation of the 24-hour markings on the inner track. Casio MRW-200H has the added functionality of day and date, so the crown pulls out to two positions. Position 0 to set day and date, which are in English and Spanish, and to set time. You need to be gentle though. On the Q&Q, the crown pulls out just one step as it can only tell time. The branding is simple on Casio and Q&Q with the brand name at the 12 and the water resistance rating at the 6, which is 100 meters on both the watches. The lume is decent, not great, on both these watches with the arm markers and hands carrying them, but on the Casio MRW-200, the application is thicker because of the thicker font on the arm markers, while it's thinner on the Q&Q. In the dark, you can tell the Casio is working because of the lumed tip of the seconds hand. Both Casio and Q&Q have similar resin straps that match the matte appearance of their respective cases. The Q&Q strap is a tad shorter compared to that of the Casio counterpart. Casio really needs to start offering stainless steel buckle on their affordable youth watches. Q&Q does have stainless steel buckle. Both Casio and this Q&Q feel the same on the wrist. The strap on this Casio is a bit more free, not stiff, and bends easily and has that extra length, so people with wrists 7 inches and over can pull it off. But on the Q&Q, the shorter strap means lesser adaptability to larger wrist sizes. Also, immediately after wearing, your first instinct could be to rotate the bezel, which you can achieve with the MRW-200H, but you will be disappointed that the bezel doesn't rotate with the Q&Q, but it is still a practical watch. I find the Casio MRW-200 more practical with a rotating bezel, as you can use it to time events. Casio MRW-200H retails at Rs 2,195 in India. That's Rs 1,000 more than Q&Q VR18, but I have not heard of people paying the full retail price for the Casio MRW-200, no matter the variant, as it's always available at discounted price. Links to both are in the description, subject to availability. In conclusion, this Casio MRW-200H and this Q&Q VR18J001Y are both practical watches and can be ideal daily beaters. Casio MRW-200H is more value for money, as I feel it is more practical with a dial that pops and a bezel that rotates. You know, the Q&Q watch I gave a quick glimpse of earlier, we have covered it in detail. It is here. Check it out. It has got a rotating bezel with a sweet ratcheting sound, and it is solar powered. So if you want more details, check this video here, and I shall see you in the next one. Until then, stay tuned and stay classy.